Hello, everybody. It is I, Brian the Pirate, and this is On Pirate Radio. Let's talk on Pirate Radio. And today I have a fantastic and hilarious guest. I have KidKerrigan, as she is known on Twitter and Twitch. How are you doing, Kerri?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's actually midnight here in the UK, but you obviously in Australia. It's 11 or 10 now. Is it 11?
It's 11, yeah.
11
We
in
managed to
the
make it work.
morning.
I could have probably gone a bit earlier for you, but
No,
it's
it's
hard to
fine.
work everything out.
No, it's fine. Did you get to enjoy breakfast?
I did, yeah. It was nice.
Fantastic. I have to know because I'm a foodie. What did you have?
It was just Dad's good old scrambled eggs,
You
basically.
can't go wrong with
Just like
bit of
little
scrambled.
tapas stuff, yeah.
I was actually like toying with the idea of having breakfast myself, and I was like, oh yeah, because when Kerri's just gonna have her breakfast when she starts, I was like, I wonder if she'll have eggy bread. I really wanted you to have eggy bread for some reason.
Or like French toast.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, I hope she has it
all the time. But we don't have bread so much anymore.
My mum used to make it for me all the time. It was one of my favourite breakfasts. I was just like, I
Yeah,
want
we
eggy
used to as
bread. But once again, thank you very much for joining me. So today, I want to just get to know you a wee bit more, a bit more about KidKerrigan, and what your life is all about, and obviously talk a wee bit about Twitch as well. So I think that's probably a good starting point. Like, what were you doing before Twitch?
That's a good question. What was I doing? I was working at EA, is what I was doing when I
Right.
started. I funny story. Okay, here we go. Tangent time. This is what you talk about. Tangent time. I actually, how do I put it? It's a bit of a long story, but it's worth it. Trust me. So I do this thing where I drop things a lot and I spill things a lot.
Okay.
And I've always been saying, "Oh, I should make a Snapchat for that because it would be so stupid and like hilarious, just like all the things that Kerri like drops and spills all the time, multiple times a day. It would be hilarious." And so I had one of those days yesterday where I was dropping lots of stuff and I was like, "This is the day. I'm gonna photograph all of this stuff. I'm gonna put it on Instagram, make an Instagram for this." Instagram wouldn't let me make a fourth account unless I had another email address. So I went back to my old original Instagram account from like 2012, 2013, which was the year that I started. I don't know if I was on Twitch at that time.
As I
I was
say,
on Twitch, but I don't know if I was on Twitch as KidKerrigan. But that's when I was working at EA, when I was doing like other stuff. It's like full of old nerdy photos of like me buying stuff from ThinkGeek and all of thing things.
right.
And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, I know perfectly well what I was doing because I just looked at that Instagram yesterday.
Well, the thing is, you say that Instagram. Did you say you had 4 accounts or wouldn't let you have a
So
fourth
I
account?
have Yeah, so like um actually this will be like a useful tidbit for some people maybe if they for some reason feel like I can give tips and tricks on this stuff. But you know how similarly to YouTube kind of punishes you if you have content that's too different on the same channel.
Yeah.
So basically, this original Instagram account was my personal account. It was all like just me and my dumb shit, and like here's a photo of I can swear, right? We're a
Yeah.
pirate. Okay, excellent. My dumb shit of just like here's some photo of almonds because I like almonds and whatever. Like it was 6 years. It's how long ago? 7 years ago.
Right.
Um, so that was my original Instagram account, and I ended up making it private when I became KidKerrigan because I felt as someone who worked at EA and copped lots of abuse because I was on the customer service team for EA and stuff like that,
Right.
because
That
EA
must have
being
been a
EA, you can
nightmare.
get that
Yeah.
type of behavior. Yeah, like it was quite like I literally found a photo of a comment from someone when I was working on a game called Real Racing, and someone had written a comment saying, is that even her driving? We all know women can't drive and this game is trash or something like that.
Oof.
Like that kind of stuff. So
Right.
when I became Kid Kerrigan and started streaming, I worked really hard to not dox myself.
Right. Okay.
Kind of, and to like put that side of me in a box. And it's only now, over 5 years later, that I'm finally starting to open the box again and
Right.
be and not have a complete state of panic when someone comes into chat and calls me Nina.
Right. I see.
That
Yeah.
like, it used to freak me out. I was like, "How do you know me? Where are you from? Who are you? What's going on?" Like, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so that's why I started the second Instagram account. The third one came around because of whole so, like, the way that YouTube handles channel stuff, right?
Hmm.
I experimented, on my KidKerrigan account, which is usually like, selfies, mirror selfies is my outfit of the day,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. Like, people like that stuff. They just like to see you feel good about yourself and whatever, which I know you've been jamming on that recently, and I love it.
A little
Um,
bit.
yeah, just a tad. Um, so I experimented excuse me, I experimented with posting a gameplay video on that Instagram account, instantly lost 7 followers
Oh wow.
because people were probably scrolling and like, "What is this
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
ad for a game? I don't know what this is," and they unfollowed or
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I made Kid Kerrigan TV to be my purely gaming content related, gaming conventions, stuff like that on Instagram
Right. That makes sense.
as well. So I just kind of like cross promote a whole bunch of stuff. And so basically the old account, I just went through yesterday and like deleted a whole bunch of, you know, ex-boyfriend related things or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Not like everything because that is your life, but
Oh yeah, and you
you
can't have
have
too
to
many
move on at a
regrets.
point if people are going to be like diving all the way through your past posts because
Mm.
I don't want to delete that part of my life at all. But there's a limit,
Of course, no, there
especially
is.
given feelings around that situation or whatever. So yeah, I went through and like deleted a bunch of stuff and rebranded my old one as at Kid Kerrigan but messy.
Right.
So now it's like the last thing that was on there was all photos of my dog when I first got him when he was a
Mm.
tiny little pupper. And then there's just like a picture of me spilling my tea on the
Right.
table.
So
And from now on, it's just going to be me spilling shit.
I was gonna say you got the spilling in eventually. Then it happened. The whole
Hmm.
spilling and knocking things over. So that's good. That's good. Speaking
I
of you,
just always do that. So I'm like, easy content.
it does sound like a good route to go. To be fair, like, so what do you do? Oh, I just make things fall over. What that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
literally. Like,
speaking,
I know it sounds really dumb, but it's such a meme with me. So, like, every time something breaks or I drop something or I spill something, like, there's going to be evidence of it now.
that's fair play. It's a good way to go. It's good to record, achievements in your life. But speaking of your dog, I think I saw on your Instagram earlier. Did you say you got attacked by some birds or something?
Oh, the mini vlog.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
did it.
what?
Okay, so we have these birds. What are they called? I forgot what they're called. They're like mask, like I don't know, armor face fucking bird things. Um, they basically look like seagulls with like a yellow mask on their face,
Right.
and they
Okay.
have spurs on the tops of their wings.
What?
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this is like an Australian level bird is what this is, and I didn't know that they existed until just recently. I think it was like a few months ago or something. Um,
You have
they
actual
just
murder
started making
birds.
all this noise. Yeah, like, they were like all of a sudden, I'm trying to stream or I'm trying to record something, and there were just these birds screaming incessantly outside the house, and it would set off Astro. Like, Astro would bark at them, he still does, and it turns out that these birds, they look like swamp birds, like, they don't nest in trees, they nest, like, on the ground.
Right.
Um, so because of that, they're like super protective. They're really great parents. They will like anything that comes anywhere near their little nest on the ground because it's so unsafe. They will like scream at you, charge at you. They like swoop with their heckin' devil spurs and
Right.
stuff. Like, it's insane. So their chicks finally hatched, and they're still kind of patrolling with them. So the chicks will just kind of like wander around and do whatever it
Right.
is that they're doing. And then the adults will be like trying to herd them and then just like screaming at anyone who comes
Yeah, it's
past.
like, get away from my children.
Yeah, exactly. And like Astro insisted to take this route through the park home yesterday. And I was like, no, we can't do this. Like,
It's
do
like,
you
we've
remember what
been here
happened last
before.
time? We
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's just like all these instances of, I haven't even been able to post a lot of them because there's like the street signs and stuff in the footage,
Of course.
um, but yeah, like it's been wild.
Is it a route
It's
that you're
so
going to take in
silly.
the future, or
No, I think they're gonna calm down eventually.
right?
Because it's like right now, like literally no one goes into this park anymore because they just own it now.
Just
Like everyone's like, where do
terrifying
these
murder
birds come
birds
from?
are just patrolling it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. That's fair. So obviously you were at EA before you started streaming. What made you
Yes.
go with that transition into streaming then?
So I originally started streaming. I think I was introduced to streaming through my ex thought that it would, because I wanted to learn how to play StarCraft because he played a lot of StarCraft, he played a lot of Dota, all those kinds of games, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, I want to learn how to play those games so that I can like relate to you or whatever, and because those games are cool.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, well, Day Nine does a really great job of explaining how to play the video game. So
Mm.
like, why don't you like watch his stuff? So I was like, okay, I'll watch that stuff. I like his community's pretty fucking rad and really awesome. Um and I regret now, like with all the transitioning and the time zones and stuff, that I can't be as active in that community as I was, because
Right.
that community is insanely wonderful. Um
Very committed.
but yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I watched a lot of his stuff and learned so much from him, and um I don't think that it's necessarily what, like, it's not like, oh, Day 9 made me want to start streaming or something like that. But
Yeah.
that opened the door into me understanding what streaming is and that it exists and stuff like that. And I generally have been a really big gamer in my like all my life, but
Mm.
I found myself in a place where I was so introverted and shy in real life. Um and I don't think I had really great social skills personally. Like I had to consciously try very, very hard to train myself into social interactions such as, "Yeah, I'm great, thanks, and how about you?"
Right.
As
Yeah. I
opposed
get it.
to, "Hey, how you going?" "Oh, yeah, good."
Yeah, to be fair,
And then
I actually
yeah.
purposely do that if it's someone I don't want to talk to, or if I'm just not in the mood
Well,
for
yeah,
speaking.
exactly. But I wasn't the one who I wasn't even in the place to, like, make that decision. It was kind
Mm.
of like, "I wanna talk to you, but I don't even know how to," like, it didn't come, that kind of stuff did not come naturally to me at
Right.
all. So how I am now is very different, I think, to how I was back then. I don't think people realize how much effort consciously has gone into that. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to, you know, I wanted to make friends. I wanted more friends to play games with, and I didn't really know. I was like, maybe if I stream, that might open the door to me finding people who like the things that I like,
Right.
because generally people will gravitate towards certain types of games in streams or whatever. Um, so I just did it. I was like, stuff it. I like playing Hearthstone. I might as well just stream myself playing Hearthstone, I guess. Like whatever. Or playing Skyrim, or playing, what, I don't know what else was out then, Bioshock or whatever.
Right.
Um, Strangely enough, I was always massively into World of Warcraft, but I never really streamed it that much until like this year, I don't
I
think.
I think it's a really boring game to stream. Like I've
It can be,
played
yeah.
it.
You've got to be really chit chatty
Yeah,
for it.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially if you
yeah.
like you're leveling or grinding, it's just like, what are you doing? I'm hitting things over and over and over again. Oh,
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, but it's always, that's also always really been my like heart and soul protected game.
Hmm.
So it's like the game that I don't want to share with you because that's like my safe place
Yeah, for sure.
as well.
I think I have a very similar like opinion in that regard, especially with Blizzard games in general. I think, like yourself, I was pretty much raised on Blizzard games. Like, I
Mhm.
first discovered like online gaming back in Diablo 1 days when it was Battle.net 1.0, and I was in the Diablo Retail GBR1 channel when I was about 13, I want to say. And then I started playing StarCraft 2 eventually, StarCraft Brood War especially I was fanatical about, and then eventually Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 LOD, played that for 12 years in the end, and then Warcraft 3, and eventually World of Warcraft. And I think...
see, like I skipped a lot, unfortunately, I feel like.
Well, I got kind of pulled into the ecosystem because you had Battle.net 1.0, which was literally a chat room where you could see your avatars and stuff. Like you could see your character, and it looked really, really dope. And like you'd end up being in the chat room more than in the games a lot of the time, just chatting and meeting these people. And
that's so sick. I feel like I missed, like there's so much of it that I missed. And I think it's like stuff like that I did. Because I think that was also around the time when, like, you know, in my adolescence, like I was always the tomboy. I grew up around 3 boys.
Right.
Like I'm an only child, but you know, my cousin and our 2 best friends, like they were my closest group. And then I had my girlfriends, but they were all on the opposite side of town from me.
Right.
So I was always like the tomboy hanging out with these boys and stuff. And then in my adolescence, it was kind of like, oh my God, boys are noticing me in a different way, and I should conform myself to like be attractive to them, and that doesn't include video games. So I guess I'll just not play as many video games. God forbid people know I play video games.
Right. No. And obviously that's not an issue for you now, and you're like, oh, the games. Kind of thing.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, once you pass the threshold of 30, your concern for people's feelings about you, I feel like, vastly diminishes year on year.
Yeah, you just don't give a fuck, really. I mean, I'm 31 now, and like people are like, oh,
yeah, wait, give it like literally one more back to this podcast and be like, wow, I don't give twice as many fucks.
Yes, you know, I have completely ran out of fucks. There are none. They have left the country. But it's kind of weird that when we were growing up, like I've always been quite a social person, so I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been like the reclusive gamer one day and played a game for 24 hours, slept for 5, and then gone out drinking socially for like 2-3 days on the trot. So I've always been quite social, but even then, when it came to like my real life friends, for lack of a better phrase,
but I got dragged along on it.
Because I was probably the dragger, if anything. I was just like,
I was like the one who like you would be like, we're going out tonight, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess so, because I'm a girl and I should be attractive.
Whereas I'd be the guy going, the club night closes in 12 hours, we have to go now, kind of thing. Like, the pub's going to shut soon. It's 11 in the morning, Brian. Shut up, come on, kind of thing. But obviously, growing up, even then in real life, you'd be like, oh, okay, I can't, you don't keep it so much secret, but you just don't talk about gaming with like your normie friends. I'm doing air quotes here. No. Whereas now it's like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, oh, well, I'm a streamer. I like play games a lot, and people watch me, and people won't get it necessarily, but I don't care that they don't get it. Whereas before,
I feel like they're more open to it too.
Oh, definitely. Like it's especially obviously Twitch has been around for, excluding Justin TV, for about 6-7 years now. I think it's just about to turn 6 or 7. But in the past year or two, it's definitely become well more known in the mainstream, as it were. And that's a fantastic thing. And also it could be accredited to a lot of people and reasons. But we're not here to talk about them, so it's fine. But yeah, I'm glad with where things are going, and a lot of people are like, oh no, it's our little secret sanctuary kind of thing, you know, it's sacred. And it's like, no, like the more people that get involved, the more accepting they will. And I think I want it to become more mainstream in a lot of ways. Obviously don't fill it with loads of dickheads, but you know, I want it to be definitely more accepted.
Could do without those, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Save those for something else.
And it was like you were saying earlier as well, you were using like gaming streaming as a way to become more social and make friends. And I was in a podcast with a fellow friend of mine called Bruce Cooper, who's got his own podcast, which kind of egged me to do this one, to be fair. And we were talking about VR and VR chat, and he was talking about how he actually saw people in these like VR chat rooms where they were literally just sleeping and things like that, and like people would spend hours and hours and hours in these rooms. I'm basically living in them. And he asked what I thought about it. And I was like, well, at the end of the day, if it's not affecting your health, and if it is helping you engage in social situations, that's pretty dope, So, and I think the internet and gaming as a whole has always had that, benefit to it, where if you are quite introverted in real life and not particularly social or good at social skills, being able to take your time with responses and things through the power of text chat and stuff while in a game, can open a lot of doors for you. And I think a lot of people found, really strong bonds and friendships through games, like particularly like WoW and stuff like that, where you would spend hours and hours on it a day. And do you think that's something that's affected you?
Yeah, I mean, like, people just have to be responsible with it. It's like anything, right? Like, you can go out and party to be social, but you have to be responsible with it.
Of course.
It's not, which I was not, but hindsight, 2020, it's all
Same.
good.
Yeah, the rock and roll years, that's what we'll call them.
Yeah, it's like anything. Like there is so much benefit to so many things in life if you choose to take the positive things from it and to be responsible with it.
And you've got the whole gaming addiction thing now as well, haven't you? Where when it was first announced, for lack of a better phrase, obviously, I agree, it's definitely a thing, but I think it's not as much as a thing as some folks were making it out to be. Like, there are people who will literally give up their relationships, their job and stuff like that to play games, and then there's just people who play for 8 to 12 hours a day.
Like people have with drugs and with gambling and with stamp collecting and hoarding. Like, there are people in every type of various, I don't know, personal interest or hobby group that can get to that extreme if that's the type of personality they have.
Of course, yeah.
Gaming isn't. It's like, gaming is probably one of the most accessible things people do or whatever, or it's like the most common one. So then of course statistics will tell you that there'll be the more addictive personality types within that group. There's going to be more of them, right?
And it's odd how people don't make the same like correlations with like TV and stuff like that. Like, there's literally people that can't get away from their TV.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like, but why? Why can't we just enjoy these games? Like, I've actually had people in real life who don't quite get it, kind of thing, don't get the gaming thing, and they'll be like, "Are you sure you haven't got a gaming addiction?" It's like, yeah, I'm bloody sure. Like, I'm here in the pub with you now. Like, you know what I mean?
You know how much better I am at math than you because of video games?
Yeah, and why do you think I'm beating you at pool right now, kind of thing? It's like, I've learned these skills through gaming and stuff like that. But no, it's like I was saying before, it would be nice to have the world be more acceptive of gaming as a general thing, and obviously not have people take it to extremes and say, "Oh, you're all gaming addicts because you spent more than several hours on Fortnite mobile," or whatever. And it's just like, oh my god. Like, have you heard what I think it's China? They're like restricting how many hours you can play Fortnite or something.
No, I didn't hear about that, but it doesn't surprise me, kind of. But
I want to know how they're going to police it. But yeah, that's the thing. They're literally like, okay, if you're a minor, you can't play. I think you weren't allowed to play during weekdays, and you can only play for a couple of hours on the weekends.
But I wonder if that's like a blanket thing, like what they do with, I don't know, is it like Facebook and stuff like that?
Could be. Could be.
I mean, I don't know the first thing about government policies and things like that, which is why when this whole like Blizzard thing went down, I was just like, I don't know why you guys are asking me about this, because like anything politics related, I am literally the person who is below the last person you should be talking to about this, because I just enjoy video games.
Yeah, no, it does. That makes complete sense. I mean, to be fair, like I probably know more about American politics now than I do about British politics, because
yeah, same, because my
I
dad
hate
keeps
our
the
politics so much
on all the time, and I have to accept it.
Well, I just watch Philip DeFranco, and it's just like all this news about Trump and whatnot, and I'm just like, oh, I am now informed.
That's all there is now. That is the news.
Yeah, pretty much. But going back to Blizzard and away from China, obviously, you are quite a big Blizzard fan yourself. You played a lot of Heroes. I don't think I've ever seen you play Overwatch, to be fair. But then again, you
I
are
have,
usually
I have
streaming
been.
at
So
like 4 my time.
yeah, Overwatch is actually the game that got me partnered, funnily enough, because I didn't actually play a lot of Overwatch. I did play it in beta
Right,
with my current partner actually, which is really funny. Before we started dating, we played the Overwatch beta together, and
right.
we both equally disliked the experience. And yeah, so I played it a bit in beta, and then because I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. It's not my kind of thing, and whatever. But then the game evolved a lot while I wasn't playing it, and then the opportunity came up to be part of the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, the Pink Mercy campaign.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
So I participated in that campaign. I was the only person who wasn't partnered that was part of that campaign. And then the day before my my actual scheduled stream for it, I ended up getting partnered, which is wonderful. And thank you
Wow,
so much, Blizzard, for that. So
that's
claps, claps.
that's so dope.
Um, yeah, so I wasn't like super big into Overwatch. And even after that, like a lot of people obviously followed me through that campaign for Overwatch, even though I was definitely more of a Heroes player than I was an
Mm.
Overwatch one. So obviously I didn't like ride that wave to wherever it was gonna take me. But, um, but more recently I have gotten back into it a little bit. I mostly save it for like ladies' nights. There are like a
Right.
couple of there are a few women that I met through the Twitch community locally who I didn't even realize how close they lived to me in real life. So we are like actual in real life friends through the internet. Oh my god. Um, so we met through the I think through like the women's group and the local Twitch meetups and stuff.
Yeah.
And they happen to enjoy Overwatch, all of them, and so they kind of pulled me back into it. And playing Overwatch with them is like the optimal experience for me.
It makes a huge difference
Like,
when you have a pre-made team.
oh yeah,
Such a
yeah.
difference.
Like,
Like,
I pretty much built my channel mostly off, like, viewer games and stuff like that, which
right.
I love I love doing viewer games for the experience of getting to know everyone else on the team, but it can be incredibly
Oh,
frustrating
hell yeah.
in terms of the gameplay,
Yeah.
not because like, it's nothing against anyone you're playing with personally, it's just that your game styles do not mesh, and that's totally fine. But I feel like people don't recognize it for that reason. If you suddenly say, "I'm choosing to not do viewer games today," or whatever,
Yeah.
everyone takes it
They
personally,
do. They
and it's
do.
like it's not a personal issue. I love every one of those people. It's
Mm.
just they don't have a game style that complements mine
So
or
yeah,
whatever.
I,
So it's not as positive of an experience as you would like it to be, rather than just hanging out.
I was very similar with Smite. Are you familiar with Smite?
Yeah, 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 yep.
Yeah. So I used to play Smite quite a bit, and
Mhm.
before I started streaming, I'd played with streamers and stuff, and then I started streaming it, and I gave it a go, and likewise did viewer games, and I very quickly stopped playing Smite after that,
Mhm.
and like my viewers were like, "Is it us?" And I was like, "No, no, it's not you," kind of thing. It's me. It's not you. I just need space. The space just happens to be the same height, depth,
That's
and breadth
actually
of
the same
view.
thing that happened. Yeah, that's actually literally exactly the same thing that happened to me with HOTS recently, because, like, after all the because, HOTS was I mean, I was always a variety caster anyway, so it sounds
Mm,
weird to say that HOTS was my main game, but to be honest, I moved to the States for a while, working full time, and it had to be my main game while I was working full time because who has time for other stuff when you're working full time? Like,
yeah,
HOTS was like the easy thing for a few hours after work to stream to just like kick that off and not get like super invested in a really overarching experience or whatever. Um so yeah, it was my main game for a while, and it was a lot easier when I was in the Western server region to be able to play that game.
for sure.
And a lot of my viewers came from that game through the Blizzard launcher and stuff like that. So there were so many different components that made that game right for me at the time when I was enjoying it most. But then
I
when I moved
sorry, go on.
back to Australia when I moved back to Australia though, our community here, like there's no population to play the game. So I can't like if I like in order to be able to play the game, I'm forced to play viewer games to have anyone to play the game with.
Otherwise,
Um,
matchmaking forever, kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. And then if we do viewer games, we end up on the NA server and then I get lag and it's frustrating and it's just not the same experience that I would have wanted it to be. So it's just kind of one of those like I haven't stopped playing it because I dislike the game.
Mm.
I had to pull away from it to just find other things that make me more happy right now, you know.
Like I
I feel like
wanted to
that.
stream Hearts so much, but I just like I liked it as a game. Obviously, when it first came out, people were like, "Oh, it's
Mhm.
casual MOBA. Like play Dota and
Yeah,
play League
exactly.
instead."
That's why I played HOTS because I didn't want to play 45-minute video games.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually thought it was all right. I thought the skill
Mhm.
ceiling was, there was definitely no lack of skill ceiling, as it were. But I couldn't deal with the community. I honestly couldn't. The chat,
Really?
yeah, like I'd be in games and
That's interesting.
people
Oh,
would throw the games all the time.
were you on like were you on like EU
No, I play NA because
or still
like
on NA?
no,
Yeah, because
I
because
was
you're
playing
closer,
NA.
you can play on NA. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
That's
like
interesting.
70% of my viewership is basically US based or North America based, and
Yeah, yeah,
virtually all
same.
my streamer friends, North America as well. I think I
Yeah,
know
that
two
makes
people
sense.
in the UK, oddly, that stream as well. Whereas I know like
There are a lot of
50.
people East Coast as well that play, which would be better for you too.
Hmm. But
But yeah, like I definitely turned off like even the Australian community was I feel like it's because Australia also has a reputation of being larrikins and being like, we call each other the C word because we feel like it and it's like
yeah,
really endearing and whatever. And it's like, yeah, but it's actually not because that also translates into our online behavior sometimes where
mm,
like I would have to leave the general chat in HOTS as well in this region because people would just be being toxic to each other constantly. And like I don't know if you guys are joking and I don't care if you guys are joking because it's so exhausting.
yeah, for sure.
Like
Well,
it's
like
so tiring just seeing people have a go at each other all the
to
time.
the point where they're literally not moving because they're too busy using the keyboard to type to each other.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you're literally throwing the game because you're too busy telling some dude to fuck off. Like, just get on with the
Yeah,
game. But yeah,
exactly.
I had that experience with Hearts and with Overwatch a little as well. I actually was probably the opposite to yourself. Was with Overwatch, I actually enjoyed it more when it first came out, and
Mm.
I had a lot more of a fun experience. And then as it progressed, I basically needed to be in a pre-made with people I already knew. Otherwise, I just couldn't handle people. Like I was never bothered
See,
about losing
I haven't
games.
had a solo experience lately. That's why. Because yeah, like I'm still too intimidated to go into it solo.
Hmm.
I very much need someone to hold my hand. Whereas like in HOTS, I got to the stage because I played it so much that I was comfortable enough to just kind of jump in on my own. And if people in chat are like, "Oh my god, is that the real KidKerrigan?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and then they get confused.
Like, oh,
Um,
who's
I'm like, "I don't know."
that?
Yeah, I'm like, "Who's I don't know what you're talking about." And then they're like, "Oh, maybe it's not." And I'm like, "Yeah, nah." Um, but yeah, I definitely feel that because I don't know if I played enough solo when it first came out to know what I felt about it. It was so long ago, but yeah, definitely now I don't know if I would jump in there by myself.
Have you noticed a comparison to like some of the other Blizzard games, like WoW, StarCraft, Diablo, like the community, like particularly World of Warcraft?
Blizzard games in general can have quite a toxic community. So
Yeah.
basically, if and I don't know why that is. I feel like it's just I feel like it's an affinity to people just having a deep-seated need to constantly be a badass or something.
Maybe.
And it's like you don't need to do that.
I think
Um,
I think it's probably thinking about it now, a case of like Blizzard have fans. Like you would never describe like EA as having fans. I know they're more of a publisher nowadays, but like you wouldn't go, oh, we're EA fans or whatever. You go, oh, we're Blizzard fans. You know, it's almost a cult following, and
Yeah.
I think because of that, obviously the fans are a lot more like I'm a Blizzard fanboy, always have been, and I think we as fanboys and fangirls are a lot more passionate about it. And then you've got like the vocal minority where the people that are really cool and just love the game are quiet and just enjoy the game silently.
Mhm.
And then the crazy people who are constantly shouting and just being angry
Oh,
about
hell
everything.
yeah,
They're only a
definitely.
small group, but because they're so loud, they kind of overwhelm the rest. And I think that's potentially what it is, maybe.
Well, like it's kind of basically the community is like riddled with memes.
Hmm.
It's like been around so long that like the memes are so deep seated that you can't just not meme at all times. Like
Right.
if you take for example someone who's new to World of Warcraft versus, and this is like a personal experience I had, right? So like you take your experience as being new to World of Warcraft, you're going through the barons, you're asking people questions, you're new to the game, you love the game, you want to know more about it. You're like, where's Mancrick's wife or whatever, and it's just memes and people just being like, "Let's read the quest, you dickhead," and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Well,
Baron's chat and whatever.
yeah,
Take
exactly.
Final Fantasy 14 online, jump into that community,
Everyone
have
wants to
trouble
help
trying to
you.
find your way around. Tell me what your experience is. It's so different. Like one of the ladies locally that I was talking about, Mimi, who's one of my dear friends, she is obsessed with this game. She radiates wholesomeness when she's in and around and talking about this game. It's ridiculous. Like she's literally like the sun blaring in my eyes with love hearts and rainbows. It's disgusting in the
It's
best way.
it is definitely
So
a big difference
yeah.
between the two, though.
Yeah, so she got me in more into the game again because I think I originally kind of tried having a look at it a while back and was like, "Oh, I don't know, I still kind of prefer WoW." Like WoW is like my home base, you
Yeah.
know. So I felt like a bit uncomfortable with it. But then uh I subscribed again just before BlizzCon because it was during that period where, because it was pre-BlizzCon, they were like, "We're going to save all of our next announcements for BlizzCon." There was like a bit of a dip of
Mm.
content. So I was like, stuff it. I'm gonna subscribe to Final Fantasy. I'm gonna play this game. It's gonna be awesome. And then my friend is part of like this really prominent community. I don't know what name they actually go by, but like I think Enrage Gaming are like one of the prominent people who lead that community.
Right.
Um, but they like raided me and invited me to their free company. I think they invited me to the free company. Then they raided me on Twitch as they added me to the free company. And while I was paying attention to Twitch and everyone spamming the absolute shit out of my chat, the entire free company or guild found me in game
Right.
from the stream, found out where I was in game, came and started like trading me free stuff, giving me money, dancing around me, saying, yelling welcome at me. Like it was the most overwhelmingly positive experience I've had in a game in a very long time.
It is.
Like community wise, it was like really overwhelming.
It is a stark difference. Like I've heard stories, like I've got my own stories from World of Warcraft where I've met cool people, I've had a great time.
Oh hell
But like
yes.
even in the simple instances where say I was just streaming World of Warcraft, people would come in new to the community and would be like, "Do this, do that, do this, do that." Whereas when I streamed Final Fantasy 14, they would be like, "Oh, cool, you look like you're having fun. This bit's great." And it was like, "Oh, you're not actually backseat gaming. You're occasionally
Yeah.
offering help
You're
and
not
stuff like
yelling
that."
at
And
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's completely different vibe. And I again, a bit like you, I first tried it, I think a few years ago, but again before I started streaming, because a friend in real life
Mm.
was like, try it. And I tried it on PlayStation, and I ended up being like this giant beef castle of a man with a spear and a turban, and I was just like, I feel a bit weird right now, kind of thing. And the leveling up experience wasn't that great for me. And then I
Yeah.
thought, bugger it, I got a free trial, tried it on PC, and honestly, the leveling up experience was still a bit grindy, but I enjoy the gameplay, and I kept at it because of the community that would come in and say hi and like join me on my leveling
Mhm.
up runs and stuff like that, and it made that experience so much more enjoyable. And it is
Yeah, for
crazy
sure.
how such a similar game has totally polar opposites almost in terms of community. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's a shame because Blizzard games are so dope, and the
Yeah,
community hurts it so much.
I know. And it's kind of it's one of those things that it's like, what can anyone do about that? You know? Like it's like as it's like anything toxic, right?
Hmm.
Like everyone's like, what can we do about like what can we do about that? And it's like, well, we can just be like the one person out of 500 who aren't toxic or
Yeah,
aren't judgmental or whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. That might rub off on one other person every 10 years. Like, you know what I mean? But then it's like, okay, at a company level, what can we do? Oh, let's ban everyone who's just mildly toxic. That's not going to work. Like
yeah,
it takes so much, and we don't want that to happen. Like we don't want to bring down a company that makes awesome games that we all love so much
yeah.
just for the sake of, that's why we just use the ignore thing.
It's
Just ignore
it's
people.
it's it's going to be a case of the company or Blizzard or the developer in the case of other games as well. They're going to have to find a way to educate their player base and be like, this is how you're not a shitty human being, kind of thing. Like, just
Yeah,
enjoy the
and
game.
it's kind of like how, and the thing is, I know I don't have the solutions, right?
Mm,
Because like I've been like at EA, I was a community manager for like 5 years. I was a community manager at Bandai after that when I moved to the States. And it's still something that is so difficult to do well given people's expectations and
yeah,
stuff like that. Like there's always just an unfortunate series of events that can occur that can completely break any good faith that you've made. And it's like no one's fault. It's just a culmination of unfortunate things that occur that culminate in this really negative experience for people. Um that no one can really do anything about other than give a PR answer that is expected of them. Like
right,
that is
right.
literally the only option that there is available to do. Um, and that's not going to make people happy. And then you have to start from square one again. And it's like, okay, cool. How do we turn an angry bunch of picketers into a caring, loving, like into a community that is caring and loving to each other?
Yeah,
You can't because they're so focused on just being angry about shit
and
all the fucking time.
it gets to the point where you're doomed if you do, you're doomed if you don't, kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we apologize, and it's like, well, that's a non-apology, which sometimes is, it's right. Sometimes it is just a blatant
Yeah,
skirting around
sometimes
it, but
of course.
it is very
But
difficult.
even if it wasn't, it would still not be what people wanna hear.
Yeah, some people are always going to be perpetually angry, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like with the whole like Blizzard in China thing, I was on the fence about it. Like I saw some of your tweets, and I think you were definitely a lot more forgiving than the vast majority.
I
Whereas,
sounded forgiving.
mm,
I sounded forgiving. The reason for that is because, like, they've done so much for me, and I know people who still work there who are
yeah,
such wonderful human beings who were being punished for stuff that was not their fault. And
yeah,
someone in chat recently actually came in and said, um, and which like it kind of brings to light the whole thing, right? This person came in and said, um, I think it was uh, like the guy knew the rules, but also like the guy knew going in what his punishment would be, but also I think the punishment was too harsh.
yeah,
And I'm like, literally, no one disagrees with you.
yeah,
The issue is how people expressed that was the problem because it was just black and white the whole time.
yeah,
It was just like either everything or nothing at all. And that's why I sounded more forgiving because it's 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 just I don't know. The thing is, if I don't sound more forgiving, then it makes my two friends who are super extremist about it happy.
right.
It doesn't make me happy. I'm
Yeah.
not happy condemning my friends who had nothing to do with it.
Of course, and like in my opinion, I was like, for example, is it J. Allen Brack?
Mm.
I thought his apology was quite sincere, and
At BlizzCon.
yeah, I genuinely
Yeah.
thought it was quite sincere. And I saw a lot of comments about people going, "Oh, he didn't even mention China." It was like, well, at the end of the day, they are a business, and
also it was an opening statement at their biggest event of the year, and a
yeah,
lot of
and
people watching it might not have even been privy to what was happening.
exactly.
So it's like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what he said or in what way he said it. There would have always been people who were angry about it and expect a company to take some kind of political stance.
And
Like honestly, I'm even a little bit disappointed that like politicians started getting in on it too, because
yeah,
they saw the opportunity in the public getting outraged about a thing and then jumped on board with that to be in favor of the public who are outraged about the thing.
yeah, and when secretly, they have no idea what the fuck is going on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know if they did. I don't know if they didn't, but that was the
yeah,
impression that I had about it. And then there were people who I also saw another company, like this is what I'm talking about, these like mob mentalities and the hate trains and things like this. It just drives me nuts because I even saw another company come out and be like, um, we hate that, like paraphrasing, we hate that this is happening and screw you, Blizzard, for making this decision. And so because we feel so strongly about it, we're going to pay for all of his winnings and all of this stuff. And everyone's like, wow, yeah, you guys are amazing. That's right. Yeah, like this company's awesome. Literally, the next tweet in the thread of their own tweet was, by the way, we have a free to play game. Maybe you should try it.
yeah, it's like, oh,
And everyone
here's our marketing.
completely ignored the fact that they literally just plugged their game after making this political statement about all of this shit.
Yeah,
Like, are you kidding me? That you are just going to forego that just because of what the first tweet had in it? Like, do you see what they
marketing
are doing?
101, isn't it?
Do you not see this? Yeah.
It's
Just so frustrating to see.
it's crazy as well, because obviously, like I said, people see it as black and white, and they'll just go, okay, well, it was because it was about Hong Kong and China, it should have been allowed. And it's like, no, he broke rules. Like at the end of the day, there were rules that were broken, and that's why I was still kind of on the side of Blizzard with it, like personally, because at the end of the day, they were rules not to do like divisive shit like that. So and
Yeah, I mean, like it's like, yeah, when you look at it objectively, it's like, yes, the way things were handled was scuff.
oh yeah,
Because in that situation, like, who the fuck was expecting that to happen? Can
mm,
you imagine the fire that was instantly lit under hundreds of production people's assholes when that
yeah.
occurred? Like, yeah, it's going to be handled pretty bad originally. Like, good luck with anyone handling that situation gracefully. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely expect a little bit of panic. I do think they rushed
There is,
into it, and there should have been some more damage control, I think.
oh,
Mm.
100%. But that's the thing, right? It's like there is no sentient robot that exists to give the most optimal response to any given situation.
Yeah, for sure.
These productions and these companies are not run by perfect robots. They're run by human fucking beings
Yeah.
who are also equally conflicted with what is happening as everyone else who's watching it happen.
It would be nice though. Just like, hold humans, you're losing your shit kind of thing. It's like, oh
Yeah,
wait, we are.
exactly.
We should probably
Let
chill.
me come in and be objective about this situation. I am analyzing everyone's potential reactions to what's about to happen. This is the most optimal outcome. Proceed.
But whatever you do, don't apologize, but apologize all at the same time. Kind of thing. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
it was a really shitty situation for them. But on a positive note, Diablo 4.
Oh
I
my
do want to talk a
god.
little bit about this with you because
I'm
you seem
still
stoked for it.
out of my mind that everyone actually legitimately thought that the game wasn't in development all last year. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
like there was so
Like,
many
are you
leaks.
kidding me? You
Like,
guys knew.
not even leaks. Like literally, they were hiring and they were like, "We're hiring for Diablo," kind of thing, and it was all over the website. And people were like, "Oh
Like
no,
everyone,
they're only doing
like
the
everyone
mobile."
last year who was like, "What do you mean you're doing a mobile game instead of 4?" And it's like, are you really that daft that you think that
Yeah,
they're not working on 4
that
and that
honestly
they're
blew my
just
balls.
like, no, we legitimately thought Diablo Mobile would be the best idea ever. It is an excellent move, not gonna lie. The game is wonderful and it plays so fucking well. It is an excellent mobile experience.
Mm.
And I even thought so last year at BlizzCon when I played the demo. This year it was even better. However, like the fact that people were so mad that they didn't at least hint that they were working on it when you already knew
Yeah.
fucking well that they were already working on it. Like, get off your high horse.
The thing is, the worst are people who genuinely believed they were only making a mobile game. Like, the people would come into my chat and they'd be like, oh, they're only making a fucking mobile. And it's like, no, they've literally said they're making multiple games all at once.
Yeah.
They've came out and said it. They just haven't said the number 4, and they'll be like, no, it's all bullshit. I'm like, what do you mean it's bullshit? Like, why would they pretend they're making other games?
Yeah.
But I am very glad that they announced it. And I think the announcement was amazing, because I'm a massive Diablo 2 fan and Diablo 1 fan, so I'm all about the Diablo lore.
I don't think that I'm as much of a fan as other games. That's just me personally. But we did have like the Diablo 2 LAN parties in my dining room and stuff as kids, and it's definitely one of the games that's made me feel closer to like my cousin and stuff like that.
Right.
From how we went about it. But I definitely understand everyone's fandom around it, and I feed off that excitement for 4.
Have
Definitely.
you read the books?
No. See, that's the thing is like lore wise, I don't know if this is like related to like my social stuff or I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with anything, but there's just certain idiosyncrasies about myself that I notice. But like stuff like lore, I find really difficult to like remember.
Right.
Like I enjoy I love the experience of going on a journey through story and experiencing the lore, but oftentimes when I come out the other end, I might not necessarily remember which Dark Lord said what and
Right.
which character said this or the other. You know what I mean?
More of you enjoy its presence, but it doesn't really sink in, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that happens with a lot of things in my life. Like I don't necessarily. That's why I take so many people get annoyed sometimes at people taking photos and recording things on video and stuff, especially in like the gram age. But as I said with my other Instagram account when I was going through it, I didn't even remember half that shit happened.
It's like you need these photos.
Yeah, and I like I remember things. I kind of remember the feeling of certain things, but I don't remember like the actual thing occurring or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, that's the same with what I experienced with lore. So I don't know like a lot of in-depth stuff about it, but I appreciate the world.
Yeah, especially when I don't know what it is, but I feel like the Diablo cinematics are always ahead of the other franchises in a way. Like they're a slightly different style, but every time they've done Diablo cinematics, they're always like super visceral and like realistic.
Oh my god!
Like Lilith looked dope, and the giant statue even.
That they went with it, like I can't tell you how pleased I was to see them, especially because lately Blizzard kind of went the route of like they had like Mr. Pandaria and like that kind of thing happened, and then WoW started getting a little bit lighter, and it has that really nice like welcoming little bit cartoony feel and stuff like that. They went, Hearthstone happened, and that's like super bright and colorful and wonderful. And then Overwatch came out, and that's super bright and wonderful and has like that kind of Disney mouth feel to it.
Yeah. And even Diablo 3, like it's still quite gory. Yeah, like everything had bloom. Like there was no
so it was
darkness at all.
Really wonderful to see them go back to like the roots of what Diablo is and like get really dark and get really visceral and get really grotesque and like make the shit R-rated. Like people who play Diablo 1 are fucking adults. Like give the adults that really like gritty experience, and they like really went there with it. It is awesome.
Like I'm incredibly happy about it. I've always understood it as well, because obviously, like you say, like the folks that the hardcore players, the hardcore community are the folks that played Diablo 1 and 2 and are, as you said, adults now. but at the same uh, point, it's a case of, well, we're a very small group, frankly, kind of thing. Like they want to make sales,
But
and
it's their
sales at the end of
chance
the
to
day.
also expand too,
Mm,
because people might have not been as interested in Diablo because they didn't know anything about it, and it was just kind of like, oh, it's another one I can play this other game, whatever. But like I feel like Diablo 1 and 2 were at that level of grotesque and darkness and stuff, but now we have the technology to
mm.
really show you
To really
like all
show
the
how fucked
little
up people are.
yeah.
It's like,
Like
why are you
who
playing this game?
I
Because
was
people keep
I was
exploding.
saying this Yeah, right. I was saying this about the cinematic, like who the fuck sits in a room and they're like, "Listen, hear me out. What about this?" So 3 guys go into a crypt, sacrifice themselves, blood comes out of their body like aliens and weaves this intricate tapestry that becomes a cape, and then a woman is born from it, and she's made of blood, and it's like, like, who the fuck goes into a room and comes up with this shit?
The thing is, the crazy thing is, they were probably in a room, and that one person made that suggestion, and someone was like, "I had that same idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make this game."
And it was so cringy, but, like, breathtaking at the same time.
Hmm. Like
Like,
it
people
definitely
had
had
some
like
really cute boners.
cliche. I think is the best word for it. Rather than cringy, I think it was a bit cliche. Like, oh, she's big, angry. Like she. The only thing that could have made her more cliche is if she had a giant collar sticking up from the cape, kind of thing. Um,
I didn't think it was. I was so surprised by it, but then I'm not really I don't know, maybe that's a little bit naive of me not being so much in um, that realm.
when I say
Like, I don't
to clarify, when I say cliche, I mean more in the like it kind of reminded me of like Bram Stoker's Dracula kind of thing.
that's probably why I see, like, for me,
Mm.
I'm not part of, like, that type of media, I guess, or,
Right,
like, you know, um, although I haven't gone deep into, like, those kind of interests that other people have.
right.
So for me, it was just like, "I've never seen anything like this before. Oh my
Mm.
god, it's amazing." Whereas for some people, they might have been like, "I'm super into this," but also I'm seeing hints of, like, all of these things that could have informed it.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always nice to have like
No, no,
pop
not at
culture
all.
references, as it were.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I was so down. I loved like all 9 minutes as well. Like that's a trailer. That's a movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and the gameplay and stuff like that. I was very very happy. Like I enjoyed Diablo 3. I did. I promise.
Were you at BlizzCon?
No, I've never been to BlizzCon, unfortunately.
Oh, you have to come with me one year.
One year, I will endeavor to
Let
do
me show
so.
you. I just did that vlog recently to show you what is at BlizzCon if you wanna have a secondhand experience.
Well, to be fair, like every time people go and they're like, "Oh, check this out, Brian," I'm like, "Okay, okay," and then I'm like, "I hate you," like because I wasn't there and I want to be there because I'm a massive Blizzard fanboy. Um,
Yeah, well, one year, I feel like you'll go. I mean, it's kind of a hard situation because I feel like this year's one was the best one for a long time, but we'll see.
it would have definitely been up there for me because of the whole Diablo thing, for
Oh
sure.
yes,
The only issue for me is obviously being in the UK. Um, if it wasn't still if TwitchCon that is it wasn't still at San Diego and it was maybe closer to Anaheim,
like
I,
that
I
one year that it
yeah,
was
then I would
at Long
probably just
Beach.
have an extended holiday. Whereas now, because
That's what we did last year, wasn't it? It was in San Jose.
yeah, because that was when I met you, and you were like, "Yeah, we're now going to BlizzCon." And again,
Yeah.
like I think I was about to get on the plane because I stayed an extra day in San Jose, and I was like, "Do you want to get some
Yeah.
food?" And you're like, "Oh, we got to get ready for BlizzCon," and I was like, "I hate you." Kind of thing. Like, I want to go to BlizzCon. Obviously, I
Yeah,
don't hate
that's
you,
right.
but yeah, I would love to do BlizzCon. Would thoroughly enjoy it. I think I've always heard it's
Yeah, it'll be
quite a
awesome.
fun
We need to
convention as
go.
well.
Yeah, there's so much to do that you don't see, which is why it was so awesome. So this year, the Blizzard Australia and New Zealand team sent me.
Mm.
which I was so grateful for because, as I said, it was like one of the best BlizzCons I've been to. So I was fully expecting to just I was like, listen, if you guys have like a local activation you want me to do for, we can live stream it and we can do all this stuff. I'll host a party for you guys. Like, let's go. Like, I'm down. Like, I'm working within budget here. I'm happy to sit in my pajamas and just watch with my virtual ticket. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
chilling. And they were like, no, listen, it was like 2 weeks in advance. They're like, no, your tickets are booked. And I'm like, what do you mean my tickets are booked?
To like
They're like, we're
farewell.
going to BlizzCon. I'm like, what? So it was a big surprise, and I'm super grateful to them for that. And they sent me to make that content to kind of bring a little bit of what it's like for us little Aussies to be able to get over there, because it's not super common for us. It's so far away.
Mm.
The flights are like $1,000 each way. It's ridiculous.
I know that
So
feels so much. Like, it's
yeah,
not quite as far
exactly.
for me, but it's
It's not.
expensive.
Yes, exactly. There are some, like, even here from Melbourne to Sydney. My partner lives in Sydney, and even just trying to fly from Melbourne to Sydney can be expensive.
Oh,
Um,
I was talking to my friend Bruce again in his podcast, and
mm,
he was asking me like how much it would cost and things, and I was explaining that I would get public transport to major cities. Like this year for TwitchCon, I actually flew to LAX and then got the 2 hour train from LAX to San Jose, because that
oh,
2 hour train saved me literally like £200, which is about
wow.
300 Australian rupees, I believe, something like
That's
that.
insane.
And then even just changing it from Nottingham, which is the city I live in, to
Yeah.
London Heathrow, which involved getting a coach for 4 hours. So 6 additional hours of travel, and plus wait times and whatnot. That
Mm,
saved me a couple of grand. So
that's
my ticket went from
insane.
200, 2,500, I think it was, to 350 quid.
Yeah.
And
For us, that trip when we met you, I think that trip for us was upwards of like $10,000.
oh, that's,
Which is why everyone was like, "Are you coming this year?" And I'm
and
like, "Yeah,
yeah, you're
no."
like, no, no.
I was in the unfortunate situation where w we had spent that much on this trip, and of course, it's all business expenses, but I couldn't claim anything because I don't
Mm,
earn over the threshold in Australia. So I didn't pay taxes this year, so I had nothing to deduct.
right.
So I was just at a $10,000 loss.
Taxes as a content creator are crazy. Like,
It's hard.
even
It's
finding
it's
info on it
difficult
is
to
hard.
manage.
Like, if
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're in the
because there is no
US,
info. They don't understand it.
well, the thing is, if you're in the
If
US, there's loads of people who are like, oh yeah, this is like my friend Bob. He's a streamer accountant. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you
Yeah,
know anyone
yeah.
in the UK? And they're like, what's the UK? And I'm like, God damn
Yeah,
it, what's
what is the
accounting?
UK?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, like,
so hard.
there are accountants here who are trying to understand the landscape of it,
Mm.
but then they're like, "Oh, yeah, we wanna, be able to help streamers with their taxes and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, great. How much do you charge?" "Oh, $500." "Yeah, good luck with that."
Yeah, it's like, good talk. We should do this again sometime. Bye.
Yeah, 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 right?
Yeah, what I've been finding is not only do they charge like regular amounts, kind of thing, as it were, but they also don't know what could and couldn't be deducted and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, okay, could I
Mhm.
deduct this? I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm paying you exorbitant amounts of money to not say maybe. Like, I need the yes and the no.
Yeah.
I could have said maybe. That's why I'm paying you. Like, and like, I don't know if I wanted to do a sole trader or if I wanted to make a limited company. What would be the benefits of both, kind of thing. It's
And even
being a
hiring a
creator is
planner to
hard.
work that stuff out is hard, yeah.
Exactly, and at the moment, I've just been burying my head in the sand about it. And be like, I will fix it one day, kind of thing. Please don't hurt me, guys. Just panicking. But I
Mhm.
think that's one of the things that, as creators, a lot of people don't really realize as well. Because obviously, you hear the obvious trope of, oh, you just play games all day, and it's like, well, actually, I'm literally managing a company on my own.
I had to cut down my streaming hours significantly because you will burn the candle at both ends and you will
Mm,
burn out. So like
yeah,
I used to stream most days. Like I'm a full-time streamer who now streams 3 days a week. Like
right.
what does that tell you? That's
And
ridiculous.
you do need the time off as well, and it always worries me when I see
Yeah,
friends
you
who are
need
like
you
six
need the
days a
time
week.
off. You need the time to make content elsewhere if you have any hope of, still of retaining one's influence, as it were.
Mm.
And you need you need, if you don't make enough money to pay someone to do that for you, then you have to do it all yourself. You have to do your own taxes, you have to edit your own videos, you have to do all of your own SEO, you have to do all of your social media management, you have to do all of your sponsorship deals, you have to trade emails at 3 in the morning on all of that stuff. Like, there is no one else to do that with you.
Exactly.
And I don't think people see a lot of that, like the preparation that goes into. I got so lucky yesterday. I wasn't even planning. So yesterday I streamed Fallen Jedi Fallen Order.
Right. How
And
is that,
I
by the way?
had it is, oh my God, it's amazing. I don't know if you saw my tweets about it today, but I was just like, if you haven't played the game, you need to play the games. I mean, I got lucky because I got a code for it, but it is
Right.
like the and that's what I was about to say was I was fully intending, because Pokemon came out, Jedi Fallen Order came
Mm.
out, um there's like an Overwatch update. There's like a whole
Death
bunch of stuff happened.
Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding came out, and I'm at the position now where my channel's probably at the lowest it's been since before I got partnered,
Right.
which is for a lot of reasons.
Mm.
It's not, it doesn't necessarily bother me. It's just like I have to look at it realistically, right?
Yeah,
Like
of course.
I want to be able to, maintain my relationship with my partner. I have to go visit him. I'm investing money in building a voiceover booth to be able to have supplemental income to streaming. I don't want to leave streaming, but I'm putting my funds into preparing for my future and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
You're
I
playing it
was like,
smart.
well, if this stuff is happening, I'm going to be smart. I'm expecting that I'm not going to be able to play Jedi Fallen Order. I'm not going to be able to play Pokemon. I'll enjoy other people playing it. Like, I've been watching Death Stranding streams. It's been awesome.
Mm.
But I got really lucky yesterday where I just saw one of my friends reply to a tweet from a guy who I originally hired at EA like years ago.
Right.
He recently just moved to Sweden, and it turns out his new role is like creator relations,
Right.
and he was asking who wants access to Jedi Fallen Order.
You're like, pick me. I hired
I
you.
was
Like,
like,
you owe me.
I can't. It was no, not at all. I was just, I was so like happy to see that he had
Yeah.
made that move for himself, and he like created that opportunity for himself. It's awesome. But I was like one of those streamers who was like, "Hello, I'm interested. Yes, please." And he sent me a message and he was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, gave me access to it, and I was not at all planning to like play the game yesterday, and then it was like from the time that I got the code to stream time, it was like 2 p.m. and I'm like, okay, I have this code. Am I going to do a cosplay? No, I'm not going to do a cosplay. It's fine. I'll just play the game. No, I really need to do a cosplay. I
Your
did a cosplay
cosplay
for
was
Battlefront 2. We
dope.
have to do one. So literally within 2 hours, I was like, okay, what have I got for a cosplay? Well, Sith is easiest, right? All right, awesome.
Mm.
I have all this stuff that I can use. Realized that the clothing I was planning to use, I had cleaned out in my spring cleaning like an idiot, because I didn't ask myself the question of, can I cosplay with this? And
Right,
just
right.
was like, I never wear this. I'm throwing it out. Like, what an idiot. Don't do that. Ask yourself the question if you can use it for content. Don't be like Kerri. So I was like, "Fuck it, I still have time." Made the trip to Spotlight, got a piece of material for a cloak, and like came home, scuffed something together. And because I'm a professional content creator, recorded the experience of me hurriedly trying to like put this thing together so that I have, supplemental content on YouTube for the thing that I did on Twitch. Like, this is the stuff that we need to do. This is what we pull out of our ass on the day. And before all of that happened, I was organizing two other sponsored opportunities, on email up to the T. Like, literally within half an hour of me going live, I'm trying to also manage these emails. Like, this is the life that we live.
And people don't even think about it. It's not even a case that they don't see it. It's just
No.
like, okay, you've press the start button. You are now streaming. You're now playing the game. You've now ended the broadcast. You're going to sleep. You're going to eat. No, we're going to weep in the fetal position because we have to do our taxes and then our networking and then our business emails. Oh, so many business emails.
I mean,
like
you
all the
can.
things.
I mean, if you choose to, you can have your streaming experience be, yes, I just want to go live and share and play some games and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. That's how I started streaming. I didn't really think of it as like I am a content creator and I make videos for this reason. But
Mm.
now my business has evolved. It that's the thing. It evolved. It became a business. I started realizing how much I loved different aspects of the work
Yeah.
of what I was doing. And so I turned it into something that, yes, it's that busy and it's overwhelming and whatever, but I need to work with that to establish with myself how much time I can give to each thing and be realistic about how much time I should be giving to each thing. So I'm still very much full time, but I had to cut down to part-time hours to be able to facilitate everything else, as in part-time hours being live,
Yeah.
to be able to facilitate everything else that goes on in the background to support me being able to do that.
Mm. And that's, as someone who works full time, that's something I struggle with quite a lot because my entire like day when the sun is out is consumed by fixing people's IT technical problems for the company I work
Mhm.
for. I then come home and then I can only stream to a certain time because one, I need to sleep. Then I have to do things between sleeping and working, like the
Yes,
networking,
and
the
that was
all
that
of the
was me for a
stuff.
long time too.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like during the week, I only actually stream for like 3 hours in the evenings. And you do notice how much of an impact cutting down your hours can have. Like
Mhm.
it's almost quite scary. And then that's why on the weekends I tend to go ham and end up awake until 6 o'clock in the morning.
And
But
then you burn out and you're like, "Why am I tired?"
yeah, and it's like I've developed insomnia. What's going on? I have medical
Yeah,
issues
and it's like
now.
because you don't use your weekend,
Mm.
you know?
Like I when I first started as well, because when you first start, you kind of enjoy it in a bizarrely sadistic sounding way. Because you're like, oh, I'm doing my own business. I'm doing all this. I'm actually, enjoying being my own boss. And then you're like, wait, I've been doing this for the past 42 hours. I can't feel my face. Maybe I should like
Yeah.
bring it down a notch kind of thing. And getting yourself out of that habit is very difficult to do because it
It's
becomes a
so hard,
routine.
yeah.
And then, of course, you've got the fears. And it's like, if I'm not doing the content, then I'm losing people or I'm losing income. And, I obviously still work full time. So I've got the backup of if I don't stream, I still can afford food and put it on my table kind of thing.
I have that because I have parents,
Right, right.
and
Whereas,
I'm very well aware of how lucky I am to
mm,
have that because so many people either don't have parents, don't have the support of their parents, they're just out there on their own and that's the path that they've chosen to take and whatever. And I chose to take that path. I moved overseas and then I
mm,
realized how much I missed my parents and I hated everything. And so I just quit my job and moved back and was like, I can't do it. I need to be home with my family. I can't handle it. And they just fully supported me kind of going to I feel like they always knew that I wasn't meant for a conventional career, I guess,
right,
like, in that corporate environment kind of thing, like, it's just kind of not for me, like, I have to I very much thrive being able to set my own schedule, be my own boss, that kind of stuff, and work with others in a capacity that suits me. So, like, when you asked me to do this podcast, right, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I wanna do a podcast with you.
yeah,
You're awesome, like, let's do it. I'd love to have a chat." But if I felt differently, I could have very well have said, "You know what? I kind of have a lot going on right now. I don't know." I have the power to say that.
of
I'm
course.
not
And it's
yeah.
it's a nice
Um,
power to have as well.
yeah. But I mean, now the struggle is, of course, I went through a period of so much anxiety earlier this year where like I literally couldn't fall asleep at night without being shocked awake with like, what if something happens to my parents tomorrow? Oh my God,
Mm,
what are you doing with your life? Blah, 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 blah. Like I had legitimate fear. Like my biggest fear in life is losing my parents. And I feel so empathetic towards anyone who has experienced that, because I honestly have no fucking clue what I would do. I have
Right.
no idea. It still terrifies me, but at least now being on a path to be able, like dad and I are working together on a plan to be able to set myself up for that. Hello, it me being 32. Um which is fine. You have your whole life to work shit out. And if I had to, of course, I would pick up a part-time job somewhere with more stable income. Like it's, you do what you have to do. Humans do that. They adapt. Um, so I'm taking liberty of the fact that I have the opportunity to be able to build up something that I will love, and that I love every work and stuff like that. So we're working together to build a like a whisper room,
Okay.
a voiceover booth now,
Yeah.
like literally next to my streaming desk. So, and that's something that I'm ready to hustle for. Like I know that that type of work is definitely a hustle,
Right.
but having a booth available at your disposal at all times of the day is a massive advantage
Oh, for
in that.
sure. Like you don't have to
And
be
I
like, oh, let's go
love
to the studio. That doesn't exist, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like I just love doing that work. I love it so much. And I only realized that I loved it, or that it was even something I could do, through streaming, because I would, like, when I'm reading game text or whatever, I would just habitually be an idiot about it,
Just
and
go into
people
character.
would, yeah, exactly, go into character, and people in chat would be like, "Was that the game or was that you? That was really good." Like, and people now, they just keep randomly coming into the stream being like, "You should do voice acting and stuff like that." And I'm like, if the general public are just throwing that idea at me, then there has to be something there.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, it's something that is rudimentary and I need to work on and I need to develop, and I'm working people to develop more of those skills, but I do love it so much.
It does seem like something that'd be really fun. Like obviously I'm British, so I come equipped with a British accent, and
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of my viewers remark on the way I speak and the tone of my voice, because it can be quite baritone, and they'll say things like, "Brian, I can listen to you all day," and I'll be
It's
like,
very nice. I love it, yeah.
but a lot of them have also gone, "You should do voice acting." I'm like, but I would only do the same voice, mine, kind of thing, because
Yeah.
I get
Which is fine,
embarrassed
because even if
almost.
you like, even if you do, that's the beautiful thing about it, is even if you do character acting, if
Mm,
your voice lends itself well to characters with a similar vocal type,
yeah.
then that's awesome.
I would love to do like voice where I could just utilize my own voice. I could put a lot of character behind it. I used to be quite big into the whole acting thing, but when it comes
Mm.
into doing different voices, I always just go for like really like cheesy, like, oh, I'm just gonna go randomly high pitched with the poops and giggles,
Oh, I
ha,
do too.
like kind of thing.
I
It's
do
like
that
what?
too, but that's the thing, is like, because there's a spectrum of character acting though.
Mm,
Like there are people who do cartoons and stuff that have this incredible range of character vocal types that they can do, but there are
right.
also people who have quite, like everyone knows, um what's her name? Who Laura, she did Jaina.
Yes.
Hang on. Laura Bailey. Laura
Right.
Bailey. So like every time, and I don't even I never pick her voice, and I love this shit, but I always have people in chat being like, "Oh my god, is that Laura Bailey? She did this voice too. Oh my god, it's Jaina." And it's like, so you're telling me she sounds very similar in like a lot of things that she does, but
Mm.
the character is different, the intention is different, and the tone might be a little bit different.
Like I tend to always notice Matthew Mercer. That's someone who I
Mhm.
pick up a lot. Like when I was playing Pillars of Eternity for the first time, I was like, I recognize this voice. And then someone was like, yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I was like, wait a second, pause his game, pause his stream, Google's immediately kind of thing. I was like, it's him, it's Matthew Mercer. Um,
It's that man.
but
Exactly.
it, I imagine it's something that would also take a lot of training to because obviously from an amateur point of view, I imagine the way you speak, you probably when you're trying to act a role or act a character
Mm.
to someone who does it professionally might seem unnatural to them. Like I think I recall Matthew Mercer actually discussing it once. Like, someone read the back of a box, and they were like, okay, read it as if you mean it, and you're not just sounding like you're reading instructions. And
Mm-hmm.
it sounded fake. It sounded obvious that they were trying to put on the character. And
Yeah, it's
like,
practice for sure.
like, how do you train for that? You know, because obviously it's practice, but it's like, who tells you when you're doing it wrong? You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You have to practice with people, and
Mm.
that's the hard thing about it. And that's why I value um there's a guy who I met when I was actually studying. I have a degree in games animation from
Right.
before I was working at EA in customer service. Um, and when I was studying, I was a part of the IGDA, the International Game Developers Association. They had, I think they still do have meetings and stuff in town. I should go and hang out with them again now that I'm actually in Australia. I kind of cut myself off from everyone for a while because I was like, I'm pitiful and have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't want to. It's kind of like that school reunion situation. Like, I don't want to go to the school reunion and show how little I've come in my life. Like, what do you mean? Everyone's like, I'm the director of X Studio now. And you're like, I play video games.
Thing is,
Um,
I like how you've got an optimistic view of your past, like, school, like, friends. Whereas if I went to one, I'd be like, you're all either pregnant or in jail or both at the same time. Like, that's what I don't want to go, because I'd hate half of them, kind of thing. So
oh
I
my
like that
God.
you're quite optimistic about them. Like, oh yeah, they're all
Yeah, yeah.
directors now. That's fabulous. I love that.
um, I try to be optimistic about people. But yeah, then so at those meetings, I met a guy called Kevin Powell, and he's now one of like the more prominent um voice actors that we have in Australia,
Right.
and he runs monthly workshops. Well, I guess they're not so much. I suppose it's kind of like a workshop, but it's kind of like a play group that we do online.
Okay.
So it's a group of us and him, and we'll choose scripts that we want to perform on the day, and he'll kind of direct us through the scripts and give us tips and like give us ideas on how to think about intention differently or the setting or
Mm.
like what would the character be thinking about and help to teach you how to um, get into that space and how to, especially because you're not generally with voice work, obviously you're not on camera most of the time. Like, even though
Right.
you're still acting, there are also things that you can do to push a little bit further to make sure that it actually comes through in your voice,
Like,
because you
still
don't
actually
have,
animating what
yeah,
you're
you
saying,
don't
as it
have
were.
the subtleties of that you do in like a close up on film, right? So you
Right.
have to kind of push a little bit further to be able to get that to come through vocally. Um, so like you can get quite animated, like you're standing up. I did a workshop recently as well with Amy Smith, who's another voice actress from Australia, who does a lot of she does a lot of indie games and stuff as well.
Right.
Um, and she had a phenomenal workshop where she gave us like an actual audition to do. It was like a real game audition. And we were in a professional studio and got to perform those lines in front of 12 other people, mind you. Like,
Yeah.
and she would be kind of directing us, and we could give it like, the students could give each other feedback. It was really interesting to see everyone else's takes on their characters and things like that. But you can get like really active in there. There was like a line where obviously the character was casting some kind of incantation or something. So you are in the booth literally casting a spell like a fucking dark mage,
Yeah, yeah.
like, and really like putting it out there to get the emphasis in the words and things like that. It's really fun. It is so fun. So yeah, I definitely value those experiences of like I will work my schedule around being at those play groups anytime I can because
And,
it's so valuable.
and I think being in a group obviously can make it a lot more fun as well. Like, if it was one on
Mhm.
one, I imagine it would feel like tutelage kind of thing, and probably a bit more awkward. But if you're just with people
It also
having a bit of a laugh, then
Yeah, and it gets you out of your comfort zone a bit too. Because what I
mm,
noticed with acting was I'm generally quite uh shielded with not necessarily what I think about stuff. Like, I'll be honest as fuck with you about everything,
Mm.
but my feelings aren't necessarily guarded. My emotions aren't necessarily guarded. They just don't tend to come out
Right.
in my daily life or like my daily interactions. Like, I don't show so much that I'm angry or that I'm upset or whatever. I tend to keep it very much inside. Whereas
Mm.
with acting, it's so therapeutic because I need to show all of that stuff. And being in a group with other people teaches you that it's okay to have those emotions in front of other people and that you can bring them out and stuff like that. And it teaches you to give even less fucks than you do from when you turned 30 in
Right.
front of other people. So yeah, it's especially because everyone's in it together. Like, you go into your first class, like, I feel like such a dickhead, like, what class even, like, especially if you're not generally a clown type person who has that kind of personality that can just not care and do whatever you want and whatever. If
Right.
you're a little bit self-conscious, um, like, you can see self-conscious written on people for
Oh, for
sure,
sure.
which
Yeah.
I think is what you were talking about when reading the thing on the back of the box. Like, if you're being self-conscious about how people are looking at you trying to act versus believing you're in that moment and showing people that, that's like a massive difference.
Yeah, because you feel the character at that point as opposed to just you
Yeah.
instructed to do something on the spot.
Yeah, and even if you don't necessarily feel the character, at least in voice, there are things you can do to your body physically to get there.
Yeah.
To like I think there was one recently that we were doing where I was doing lines for um she was kind of like a security monitoring a mission. So like she's kind of guiding you through the mission and she's looking out for baddies posted out and like telling you the codes for stuff, and
Right.
she's doing all of her magic coding, and so she's distracted. She's trying to find like what the code is and where the security cameras are and all of this stuff simultaneously while she's trying to talk to you. And so trying to get, when you just have a line to read, trying to get that level of distraction to be believable
Mm.
is super difficult because you already know what the code is.
Yeah.
You already know that you're looking for the code. Like, as the person who's supposed to deliver the line, you're like, I can just deliver the line and be like, this is the code. But if you're trying to believably make the character sound like she's looking for it and there to help you and a little bit frantic and hoping that someone doesn't come and catch you in the meantime, and here's the code, by the way, and whatever,
Yeah.
that's really difficult to get across. So I had to basically go into Chrome and just open up a random website. And I was like scrolling through and reading the website while I was delivering the line
Right. Okay.
to be able to get that sense of distraction.
That's actually quite a good idea.
Yeah, to like break my concentration a little bit. That was when I did, that was like the last, because I think I delivered that line like 10 times
Mm.
and he was just like, oh, I don't know, it's like not quite there kind of thing. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna open up a website, I'm gonna check this out. And it broke my concentration just enough that when I finished the last read, he was like, that's it, that was amazing. And I'm like, dude, I was just like checking out the interwebs.
Like I was
You know?
actually distracted.
Yeah, exactly. So there are things that you can do to like get to that place.
It's good to be behind the scenes, so when like kind of cloak and daggerish, where no one knows your secret tips unless you announce them on podcasts, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But
People were asking me if I wanted to live stream recordings and stuff. I would love to do that. I feel like that would be fun.
I imagine, because watching the creative process can in itself be quite therapeutic for people, even people that have no interest in perhaps doing it but just are interested in general. Like,
Yeah.
real talk, I love it when you do your makeup videos. Absolutely love it. I'll watch it and I'll be like, this is really therapeutic, and it's like quite calm, and then you call some like viewer a cunt and stuff, and it's just like,
Yeah.
look at you. But yeah, like just
I would love to go back to those. I had to like put them on the back burner for the time being, but I know that people love them so much. So like that's why I kept doing them, because I was getting like the actual audible feedback that people wanted to see them or enjoyed watching them.
It's I don't know what it is. I've always found it quite relaxing. Like I've seen, like I wear eyeliner. That's it. Like I do not need to know how to
Yeah.
do like contouring and stuff like that. So whenever I've watched that type of video, it has literally been in passing, and then suddenly it'll catch my eye, and I'm like, wait, I'm
It's a
suddenly
little bit
very
like
relaxed.
ASMR in that
Kind
way.
of. No, it
Yeah.
is. It is. It's very, very relaxing, especially if there's like a decent, like, chill background song to it. I will completely get distracted by it. And people will be like, Brian, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't remember. I know how to do makeup now, though, kind of thing. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Well,
Fair enough.
it's interesting too, because like the reason I started doing more of that was because I went through a period where I was like, where are all the women in my channel?
Hmm.
Like, it's such a sausage party up in here. Where are my ladies? Like, I just needed more feminine connections.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, I was just craving that for some reason. And so one day I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to talk about stuff I'm interested in. And I started talking about this new makeup I bought online. And instantaneously, I shit you not, like 5 people came in the chat. Like, are we talking about makeup now? Like,
Like,
I love
is this
this brand.
happening?
Hello.
I'm really
I
happy
would like
this is
to
happening.
discuss this also. And I'm like, where have you guys been? Like, the thing was like I had people in my audience who were into things that I love that I didn't even know, because I just didn't think I didn't talk about it because I thought it would disinterest people.
Right.
So,
Because you just
so
obviously
yeah.
naturally assume it's like, oh, you seem to all be blokes,
Yeah,
so
I'm like,
why
no
would I
one
talk
cares
about
about this
makeup,
stuff
kind of
on
thing? Yeah.
Twitch. Like, yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I started talking about it. And then when I started doing the videos on Instagram, because the majority of my followers on Instagram are actually dudes, go
Right.
figure.
Yeah.
Um,
Mine too.
uh, yeah. But when I started posting the videos on there, I actually got feedback from men in the channel just being like, "Oh, I never understood makeup before, but like I have a new appreciation for it now. Like I understand that it's not for me. I understand the value that you find in it as a
Hmm.
woman." Like, kind of thing. Or even as like a man who likes wearing eyeliner, like I understand now why people gravitate towards it, or
Right.
find value in it. And I thought that that was one of the most meaningful comments that I've had about it. And then also the time when my partner came to visit for funsies, I was like, I want you to try my skincare routine, like just for fun. Like we might as well. We're going to be at an event all weekend. Like we got
Right.
to look good. So he tried my skincare routine and we did a video on that. And the next week, um, one of my VIPs from the channel, like longtime viewer for years and years, who's one of the most masculine people I know, sent me a DM asking where to get the mask we were using, and was asking like what type of facial oil we used and where he can buy it and stuff like that. And it was just like,
Can you
this
DM
is
me those
awesome.
details as well, please?
And and well, just the fact that he the fact that he felt he could ask me those
Hmm.
questions without judgment
Right.
is just so nice, because it's like, no, I'm not going to tease you for asking me that. Like, I'm so pleased that you value self-care in that way, that you would want to ask me. Like, that's awesome.
And obviously
So,
you've got the side of it where it's a horrible term, but it's the business there at the end of the day. But we as influencers, like,
mm,
it's cool that people have that trust in us. Like I really
yeah,
like that.
sure.
Like, again, I was discussing with Bruce the other day that you could stan or be fanatical about like your favorite celebrity, but if my favorite celebrity was like, oh, I really like this product, I'd be sat there going, yeah, that's great, mate, I don't give a shit, kind of thing. Whereas there are, even before I
Mhm.
started streaming, if there were some of my favorite streamers like, I like this product, not even sponsored, I just genuinely like this product, I'd be like,
Mm.
I trust you, kind of things. Like, why do I
Yeah, yeah,
trust you?
yeah.
I do, though. And it's really cool to have this relationship with our viewers, with our communities, where they can go. Obviously, in a way, it's one sided because obviously they know more about us than we do about them, substantially more,
Mhm.
usually. But I just think it's so cool that I can just be like, okay, I'm going to ask Brian for advice on this and this and this. And obviously, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'm not qualified to give you that advice or whatnot. But even if it's just something as simple as, what do you think of this product? What do you think I should do in terms of computers or technology or whatever? Because obviously, I'm a
Yeah.
massive tech enthusiast. And they'll go, okay, yeah, so that makes sense. I'm going to take your advice like to heart and invest in this thing, or take up this new regime in health and care, beauty, and stuff like that. And it's very humbling. It's very wholesome, I think.
Yeah, I love it, and I can actually really appreciate, the FTC changes that came through
Yeah.
for that stuff. I, as a content creator, absolutely love that
Mm.
because it gives us the power to be able to go to companies and say, or to respond to companies who want to work with us and say, no, I cannot promote you unless I actually like your stuff.
Yeah.
Because there have been so many times where it's like, "Oh, we'll send you a thing, but you have to do a post in the meantime and blah, blah." It's like, "No, no, 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 no. If you want me to post stuff, I need to try the thing first and make sure that it's the right fit. Otherwise, there is no point."
Or you get the sketch ones who are like, "Oh, we'll give you an affiliate link, but you still actually have to buy the product that we've approached
Yeah,
you to promote."
no.
And it's like, fuck
No,
off,
thank you.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly.
Obviously, there are a lot more
Yeah,
polite
I
ways to
mean,
do
it's
it, but
it's kind of annoying because it's a little bit of a double-edged sword in that you feel more pressure to have to persist when you're not sponsored on something rather
mm,
than just disclosing when you are.
yeah,
So that's a little bit difficult, and it's really difficult to with the word count and stuff like that to fit in. I'm not getting paid for this, but I did get a code for free, but also my friend works at the company, and so that's my relationship, to be perfectly clear, at multiple points throughout the stream. Like, that's that's really difficult, and I think that's still something that we need to overcome with it. But, like,
yeah.
the general principle of I will only really push things on you that I actually believe in and that I actually love, and that even if I didn't get for free, I would probably, if I had the chance to pay for it, would still yell at you to play like Jedi Fallen Order because it's an amazing
Mm,
game. Or use Corsair products because I'm sponsored by them. But I chased them. I chased them because I've ever since I've built computers, I used Corsair shit. I won't use anything else because everything else breaks on me. They're the
right.
only thing that hasn't. So I chased them to the ends of the earth for that shit. Um, but yeah, and I have made the mistake though of taking sponsorships that didn't quite work out or that I wasn't quite sure about just because I was still trying to work out that landscape.
Right.
But now I know what I want and what's more valuable to me, not necessarily my brand.
It's
Yeah.
weird how much the landscape has changed, particularly in terms of like viewers and public perception. Because obviously, even
Mm.
just 3-4 years ago, you do a sponsored stream or whatnot, or a sponsored tweet or Instagram post, and people are like, "Oh, sell out, pitchforks, fuck you." Blah,
Yeah, now
blah.
it's just like, "Oh yeah, I get it."
And it's like, "Oh yeah, cool, man. You're making money, sick." And it's like, thanks, like thank you for not skewering me on the
Yeah.
pitchfork. I appreciate that. Yes,
Like
I do need to eat.
I feel like maybe a better way of going about it would be using the hashtag ad for, you know, I got a thing out of this
Mm,
relationship. It might not
yeah,
necessarily be money, but that's the thing that I got. Whereas if you actually get monetary compensation, you get payment to do this thing, then just being like hashtag paid ad, like
yeah,
then I would feel much more comfortable being able to draw the line that way because I feel like I'm working on a paid stream, like a sponsored stream right now that is like way out of left field for what I would usually do.
mm,
Um but before I even knew it was paid, I wanted to do it because of the people who I'm working with on it,
right,
not necessarily the game or, the company or whatever. I didn't even know it was going to be paid. It was just someone who I love dearly works at this place that was like, "Hey, I would love to do this thing with you. If you would like to play our game, blah blah blah. By the way, if you want, I'll play it with you." And I'm like, "You're playing it with me? Done."
yeah, yeah,
Like
like
that's
on it.
all. Like if I had to fumble my way through this game by myself, you'll find out eventually when it comes through. But I don't have the contracts and stuff yet. But if I had to fumble through this game by myself, I mean, even if it was paid, I would feel super uncomfortable with that.
Right.
But just the fact that I'll be able to have this experience with that friend who is hilarious and wonderful, and I love him so much, and I just want to support his journey as well.
Mm,
And he's been able to somehow pull off getting creators paid for what he wants to do, which is phenomenal. And I appreciate that so much. That was like, but that was just like a bonus to me at that point.
Yeah,
I was
you
just
just
like,
appreciate
oh, really?
more.
We're getting paid for this? Awesome. Thanks, man. Like,
You appreciate more the fact that it's a thing that can happen rather than that it's actually
yes.
happening. Yeah. But it's now nearly 2 a.m. here in the UK. The time has absolutely flown by. So
It really did.
thank you so much for being the first person to be on Let's Talk, Kerri. I really do
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you for asking me. I was so thrilled when you even like approached me for it. So
Well, honestly, like I had because I'm on 2 stream teams, and one of them is quite inclusive and quite small, and I considered like 2 or 3 people, and I was like, I want to get like 3 or 4 people lined up, and you're the only one who's not in the stream team that I've approached so far. So I was just like, I was like, I want to do like a chat with Kerri, so I need to get her on the cast as soon as possible. And now you're now actually like the first person, so I really appreciate your time this evening. Where can people find you?
just at KidKerrigan everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then there's like, some extra channels on YouTube and Instagram or whatever. But the main ones are just at KidKerrigan. So like on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.
Which of the 4 Instagrams was it?
Yeah, right. There's like KidKerrigan, KidKerrigan TV, KidKerrigan but messy. Um and then I have an IRL channel on YouTube now as well, which is where all of the makeup vlogs, etc. will start going on there. But that one doesn't have a channel link yet because it's so
Right.
new and you have to wait for a month, all of that stuff.
Right. Well, I look forward to seeing that. But thank you once again. Everybody, do please give Kerri a follow. She's an absolute sweetheart, a hilarious human being, and also very adorable when drunk, and she meets you the first time when you're wearing eyeliner.
Oh my God, I remember that moment vividly. And I'm so happy about it. I remember it fondly.
Same. I like... It just happened. I was like, oh, it's you, kind of thing. I must go see it. And I saw you. And then obviously you were so stoked that I was wearing eyeliner, and that like reverberated with me. And I was so stoked that you were so stoked. So, but yeah, it was a beautiful time. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and subscribe, follow, all that malarkey. And I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful evening.